You're listening to the Let's Go Buffalo podcast, your new favorite podcast for everything Bills and Sabres. Oh, what's going on, everybody? You're listening to the Let's Go Buffalo podcast, your favorite podcast for all things Bills and Sabres, with the pals Nigel, Tom, and Jake. Episode 78 coming at you after a brief little hiatus here. Boys took a couple of weeks off to refresh, regroup, and get our lives back on track here before we dive into a whole slew of off-season stuff. But you know the drill, folks. Don't forget, follow us on the socials here. You can find us with the handle at Let's Go Buff Pod. That's Buff with 2 F's on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. No longer on X because Elon's a dickhead. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to drop a like, leave a comment. Any of that stuff really helps us out. And with that, let's get around the horn here and say hello to the boys. Tommy, what's going on, brother?
Hey, what up, boys? Look at us. 1, 2, 3.
We made it back.
Yes, we back and we back. I'm good, boys. Yeah, good to see you guys. I'm ready to rock. I'm feeling motivated, refreshed. Got things to say.
Yeah, lots to chat about for sure. Torpedo, what's good, brother?
What's good, guys? Good to be back. I'm feeling beaten down and you know, as tired as ever. There's only a little bit of truth there, but no, I'm feeling good. It's good to be back. I do feel refreshed. I feel like we all needed a little bit of a break.
Yeah, for sure.
And now we're back here. Yeah. So
yeah, man, absolutely.
What you guys been up to?
Dude, not a ton, man. Just navigating life down here in Nash. The music stuff is starting to move along a little bit more now, so that's great. Very much enjoyed the Four Nations situation that took place over a couple of weeks. We'll talk about that. And just been trying to keep tabs on any fun sports stuff, the Myles Garrett stuff, and see what's happening there and all that fun stuff. So yeah, just been plugging right along here, fellas. What about you?
Yeah. Well, I want to get into the Four Nations, dude. I had a blast watching that.
Dude,
the hockey was incredible.
Yeah, incredible. It was. I mean, so the Four Nations, for those that don't know, instead of an All-Star break in the NHL this year, what they did was basically a round robin 4-team tournament that consisted of the 4 pretty much top nations in hockey, probably excluding Russia, but they're still they're still getting pee whacked by the world, so banned from international competition. So it was the U.S., Canada, Finland, and Sweden. Congrats to Canada, they did win the gold. Is it the gold medal? Probably not a gold medal there. Won the tournament, won the bragging rights, I guess. I think they do get some kind of medal or whatever, but
the gold hockey stick.
Yeah,
I think they got gold in medals, but they are not gold medals.
It's not like silver and bronze too.
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, congrats, dude. I mean, that Canada roster, fitting that the most incredible player on the planet scored the game-winning goal. I think it was a pretty bold defensive strategy by the Americans to leave 97 wide open in the high slot. But what do I know? I'm just a fan of the game. So, but yeah, dude, really, really incredible hockey. I think it's fair to say that the U.S. and Canada have separated themselves. They're in a tier by themselves in terms of hockey talent in the world. But Sweden is nothing to shake your finger at, nor is Finland. And I do think that if Russia had been in that tournament, they would have given Canada or the U.S. a run for their money. So
probably, I think Finland would have looked a lot differently too with Miro Heiskanen on the back end. That was a huge loss for them.
Gargantuan loss.
I got 2 questions for you on it. One, would you have played Matthew Tkachuk knowing what we know now, where he really wasn't helping that team out, or throw a guy like Kyle Connor in?
I absolutely
that hurt them.
I think playing Matthew Tkachuk, given what we know now about his injury status, that's what you're referring to, right? His injury.
Yeah, he couldn't play for most of the final.
Right. Yeah. I think it was a really bad call to play him in that situation. I get it. At that point going into that game, he is more or less, him and his brother are fueling that U.S. push. And I think, a guy like that not playing does a lot to the morale of the team. But I still think if you're on that U.S. team, you can look around and be like, okay, yeah, Matthew Tkachuk can't go, but I mean, your worst player on that team is fucking Dylan Larkin, and
Yeah.
he's a number one center on 29 teams in the NHL. So
Going in, I would say that, but he was one of their better forwards.
he was, and he was great too. But like on paper, you probably say that Dylan Larkin's the worst one on the team, but 29 teams would be stoked to have him as their first line center. So
yeah,
but yeah, dude, an unbelievable tournament. Did you have a second question there?
Yeah, my second question: any players surprise you coming out of that? Somebody that excelled where you maybe didn't think they would do that well, and any name counts.
Jordan Binnington. I mean, I didn't see that dude seems to like if he can position himself to play in a huge game, he will win that huge game. It's a question more so of can he get somebody there, but if he can get a team to a game 7 or a tournament winning game, he's probably going to do it. I mean, he was sensational in that championship game.
Yeah, he's cold, dude. Yeah, I mean, carried a Team Canada for some of the games there. It was incredible.
Yeah, big time.
A lot of question marks with their goaltending going in, but yeah, he proved he can be the guy.
100%. And with them, they lost their first game, I think, to Sweden or something like that. And already, or Finland or somebody, they had lost their first game. Yeah. And right then and there, like it got loud for the Canadian team management. Like
Sweden beat them in overtime. Canada lost to the US in that second game.
Yeah. And that's like, so they went technically 0-2 more or less. And yeah, I remember like on social media there, like it got loud. Everyone was like, what the fuck was this team they put together? Like, why is Binnington the one in net? And then lo and behold, it turns out he's the reason I think that they won that gold medal or the gold medal.
For sure. I just want to say somebody that surprised me and the other way, Elias Pettersson had a tough go of it. I know he's playing through some injury, but man, he's had his name dragged through the mud a lot lately, and he did not do anything to help his cause out at the Four Nations. He was invisible.
Yeah. It's tough being one of those players that's, I mean, if you're paid over 10 million in this league, like you're just under a microscope, because if you don't live up to that, like that's one of the things with hockey. Like if, Pettersson signed, I think it was an 8-year, like $12 million deal, something like that. Right. I think in that ballpark,
yeah.
And that's fully guaranteed money, right? Like it's not like a football contract where only some of that is guaranteed. An NHL contract is 100% guaranteed. So when you're paying that guy that money, and I mean, like the top players in the NHL are paid like 13 million, whereas, football, the next highest paid quarterback, the next contract that's going to be signed is going to be around 70 million. So it's crazy to compare the two, but like if you're a hockey organization and you're paying a guy 12 million and he's doing what Elias Pettersson is doing, it's really hard to not dogpile on that guy.
Yeah, for sure. Tough turning for him. Tough season. All right, guys, I'm parched, and then we gotta move on to some Bills talk.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, I think Tom just stepped away for a quick moment here. So Jacob, one thing I'll raise this question to you then while we're waiting for Tom to get back real quick.
For sure.
Like, are you not after watching that tournament? Are you not like, because I was already desperate for this kind of player beforehand, and now I'm just even more so. But like, I would trade everybody for a Tkachuk brother. I would trade Dahlin, Owen Power, Tage Thompson. I would trade any of those guys for a Tkachuk brother. I like fully.
I
What's that?
Yeah.
Either one?
Either one. I think Matthews.
They're both insane, dude. Brady gets lost in the sauce because he's on a dog shit Senators team. But and Matthews been on like really good teams, including the Panthers the last several years. But I think Brady's just as skilled, if not more, than Matthew Tkachuk.
Yeah, they're different players too. Brady's a lot more physical. I would take either one. Dog shit, yes, historically, but they're knocking on the door to the playoffs.
They're in a playoff spot right now. Yeah,
they're not. They're just below. But yeah, he I think is somebody that could come back from Four Nations and tear it up down the stretch. I mean, he played against the best on best, and was one of, if not maybe the best player on the U.S. roster.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that should give him a ton of confidence. He can be a game breaker for the Sens. So yeah, I would trade pretty much everyone. The only one I would say no to is Dahlin. I would much rather keep Dahlin. If he's the only player, maybe put it a different way, I'd trade a package for Brady Tkachuk. But if I'm trading Dahlin, I'm getting Brady Tkachuk and other things too. But I'm not really entertaining that. But pretty much anyone else, yeah, I'd sell the farm for a Tkachuk.
Yeah. Tom, we were just about to crack a beverage when you stepped away from us there.
yeah. You'd think by episode 78, I'd figure out that the dog shouldn't be in the room with me. No, well, I've now learned my lesson, boys. We're leveling up here, right? This is our third evolution.
Boys, I apologize. I was premature. I'm fucking up all over the place. I was premature in opening my drink. I just brought it up here and opened it, and it's not even a beer. I really did think I had more, and I didn't. So I'm totally dropping the ball here, boys, but I will count you down all the same. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Well,
brush that dust off there, Nige.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll get back on it.
I'll also have to fess up that I also don't have a beer. I have a nice Spindrift in front of me. So, Tom, you're really carrying the weight of the world.
What does that say about me? All right. Well, I got a nice old Ruby Red Genesee Kolsch.
Hey, where'd you get that?
A nice way to kick off the season from the Rochester family. So, they come up, bring me a steady supply of Western New York beverages. So
nice.
Yeah. So cheers, buddies. Good to see you guys.
Good to see you, boys.
You too, boys.
Tom,
be back in the saddle.
Would you like to be our chauffeur through this Bills hoopla here?
Oh boy, would I? It starts with MVP. Oh, boys. Freaking Joshua Patrick Allen. Named NFL 2024 Most Valuable Player. Wow.
Yeah.
That's all I got, right? Like, cool. How cool is it, guys, that our favorite team, our favorite player who's a freaking good guy is NFL MVP? Like, we've been waiting for this moment. We've been waiting for this, like, so fucking cool.
Yeah. And that's like, it's absolutely awesome, dude. It's great for the city. It's great for Josh. I think it's 100% well-deserved. I still, to this day, just with the fact that he had Derrick Henry, I can't get behind a Lamar Jackson MVP vote. I think if you take away Derrick Henry, that they probably don't have the same season, or Lamar doesn't have the same season. And so I think the right person won the award. I think I'm just so happy for Josh. From where he came from is the big story, right? No offers out of school, had to do JUCO. After JUCO, he still only had one offer, and then now league MVP, pretty widely considered
too. Like, he could have had this could be a second or third.
Sure. Absolutely. Has been in the running for the last several years. And I just cements himself in this conversation as a top 2 quarterback in this league at any given time, I think. So congrats to Josh, congrats to the Bills, congrats to Josh's family. Parents and stuff make a ton of sacrifices over the course of an athlete's life like that when they make it to that level. So yeah, it's an incredible thing for everybody, for sure. Tom, Jake, any more thoughts on that?
Yeah, you said it well.
Yeah, it's just so cool, and it's this is a check mark for his legacy, right? There's obviously, and he came out and said, hey, there's more to get, more to do, but like this is meaningful. This is a big deal. Hopefully, there's a couple more seasons like this coming up.
For sure.
I absolutely imagine there will be. Some other exciting news: the extensions. We have a whole kind of lineup that can be extended, and our first one's rolled in. Mr. Khalil Shakir, the pinball machine himself, has been extended for 4 years, $60.2 million, $32 million guaranteed. So he still has next year. He's playing on his end of his rookie contract, and then the extension starts. So it's so awesome to get him locked up, and especially at a deal like that. Like, I think this is a steal and a half for Brendan Beane.
Yeah, I think the big thing here, the huge thing here is the value. Right, Khalil Shakir, while, maybe not quote unquote number one wide receiver numbers, was without question the number one wide receiver on this Buffalo Bills team. Wasn't quite what everybody had thought or hoped or expected going into the season. I think everybody was pretty much on that sort of, we're really hoping that Dalton Kincaid is gonna be like the number one guy here for the Bills. But it just didn't go that way, and that's totally fine because at any given time this season, pretty much when Josh needed a bucket, he was able to go to Khalil Shakir, and Khalil Shakir was able to make a significant catch for this football team to keep the drive moving. Yards after catch is something you have to talk about with this guy this year. I mean, Tom said it when he talked about it, pinball, right? The guy's contact balance. I mean, when he gets that ball in his hands, he's not going down without a fight. And the yards after catch ability, I think, was third in the league this year, way up there. It's huge for the success, huge for Josh's success when a guy can do that. So really, really, really grateful to get him locked up at that number. When you're talking about contracts now, one thing that's very, very important going forward, just with the salary cap changing at the rate that it is. I mean, we're at a point now where the salary cap is changing by 20. It's going up by $25 million a year right now. So deals that were signed 2 years ago can't be looked at through the same lens as they are right now because the salary cap is so much bigger now. So it's really important that when you're comparing salary cap numbers or contracts, you think about APY, which is the percentage of the percentage of the salary cap at the time of signing for that contract, right? So the APY for this deal, right, for this Shakir deal, puts him in the same bucket as guys like Gabe Davis, Jerry Jeudy, guys that he like massively outplayed the last 2 seasons. So this is unreal work by Brandon Beane. You get Khalil Shakir in his prime. He's only 25 years old. You're going to have him through his age 30 season, I believe, maybe 29, I think, actually. So it's unreal work by Beane. Shakir might want a new agent, but as a fan of the team, I'm absolutely overjoyed with the signing. I think it's huge for Josh. Great for the locker room, and a guy that I could see, with a C on his chest the next couple of years. So, massive win for the Bills here. This is huge.
Agreed. Super fun. The special teams coach Matthew Smiley was officially canned after being endorsed by Sean McDermott to keep his job, and then about a week later, he got the boot. The Bills have hired Chris Tabor as his replacement. He's kind of bounced around the league a little bit, but has generally had a fairly good special teams pedigree. So I'm really interested. He's also had some interim head coaching experience, so he's obviously been respected. He was interim coach for a single game in Chicago during the COVID seasons, and then was also an interim head coach for the Panthers when I want to say it was at the Steve Reich season when Reich got canned. So he's obviously has a pedigree and a way about him that he could be a leader, and hopefully he's got some good things to make a special teams unit that's been struggling the last couple of years to hopefully stabilize a little bit.
Yeah, for sure, dude. I like this hire a lot. This hire a lot reminds me of, makes me think of the Aaron Kromer hire a lot, right? I think a lot of the time, when you hire somebody that is maybe like has taken a year or two off, you kind of like it raises a red flag. Like, okay, what's the reason for this? Like, is there something we don't know, something we need to be concerned about? And that was the case with Aaron Kromer when we hired him, right? He had just had a season off, and then we hired him. But just because you step away for a year, you don't suddenly lose all that experience. And I think that's something we can probably expect with Chris Tabor. Yeah, he didn't coach most recently this season, but it's a dude with a lot of experience that should be able to come in and, like Tom said, stabilize this special team situation. So I like it. Really, at this point, anything that's not Matthew Smiley, I'm hugely in favor of. So yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a good thing for the team here, and I'm in support of it. What else we got, Tom?
Ryan Nielsen was added to the defensive coaching staff as a senior assistant, which is, again, I think another really significant move. He's a very experienced coach. He's had defensive coordinator positions in New Orleans, in Atlanta, and most recently in Jacksonville, and has had very good success building up teams, especially in the defensive line. He was known, and Sean McDermott kind of came out and kind of slowed us down a little bit, but he's known for running a lot of man coverage and having a really strong man coverage schemes. McDermott did come out this past week at the combine saying, hey, you guys might be getting ahead of yourself. If we do transition to man, it might be a little bit more naturally. It's not a hard page turn here. It's still a Sean McDermott defense, but I think his influence is going to be really helpful for Bobby Babich as he's kind of going into his second season as defensive coordinator.
Yeah, I think this one is also significant, dude. I'm hoping, that we'll kind of have like the Aaron Kromer effect that he had on the offensive line. I'm hoping this can be a similar thing for the defensive line, because I think we need something, right? So hopefully, like with this signing and then some kind of extra acquisition of significant talent, whether that be Myles Garrett or a Trey Hendrickson. I don't actually think Max Crosby's available. I think that's something that seems to be like every year comes out a little bit. But Crosby has said several times now that he like has no intention of leaving the Raiders. So I don't know why that happens, but I don't think he's actually available. So, but all that to say, I think I have a feeling the thought process right now is Nielsen and then some kind of significant defensive line acquisition, whether that be draft, free agency, trade, or some combination of the three.
Well, put a pin in that thought, Nige, because we're coming back to that.
Word.
So, and finally, for the last little easy item, head strength and conditioning coach Eric Ciano was released. He's lived actually through several head coaching regimes. And what was released, I think they're just trying to shake things up. There were some comments from Beane and McDermott kind of talking about the Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid kind of coming back. Well, sorry, Dalton Kincaid playing at a bigger size. Keon Coleman not necessarily coming back himself after his injury. And there was never a direct correlation or a direct admission saying, hey, that's why we had some issues. But I'm sure it was part of the equation for them deciding to move on. His replacement has not been named yet, but I would imagine, being that it's the Buffalo Bills and they have a beautiful facility and a great, really strong coaching regime, I'm hoping that we get somebody who knows, who's worth their salt and is able to kind of come in and really help these players be ready to play and play consistently.
Yeah, I think the other interesting thing with that too, and I guess I don't really know exactly how much the two are related, but it would make sense for it to be at least a little bit related. The NFL like franchise report cards came out recently that the players give their team's grades on different areas. And the strength and conditioning situation coaches were rated pretty low with the players for the Bills. So I don't know if the two are correlated, like if, maybe Beane saw that and then decided to pull the trigger. I'm pretty sure that this move was made before those grades came out. So maybe, I wonder if it could have been something discussed in postseason interviews with GM and players. I don't know. But that seems interesting to me that the players gave those grades out and this move was made. So who knows if there's a correlation there or not, but worth mentioning, I suppose. Let's see here. And then, we just got some other off-season things going on right now. So, right now we're getting into the interesting points of the offseason. The combine's going on right now. That started yesterday, the 27th. So that's taking place currently. That's where all the GMs and whatnot are. So that goes until March 2nd. So we'll be keeping tabs on that, keeping tabs on interesting players and seeing what their numbers look like and seeing what guys climb the rankings and fall and all that fun stuff. March 4th is the deadline to use the franchise tag. I don't think there will be any Bills players that get tagged like that. But you never know.
Yeah, they've never historically done that. So yeah, agree.
Yeah, that's not typically a Brandon Beane move. March 10th through March 12th is the legal tampering period. Somebody might want to tell Tom Brady and Matthew Stafford that. They might have missed that email coming from Goodell. And then the big one would be March 12th, which is when it's open season, boys. Free agency begins, which I guess kind of gets us into a little bit of a salary cap conversation, as well as some potential discussions to be had. Tom, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's about time that we give Brandon Beane his to-do list. Because we know that he spends time listening to us, and as he should. He's a very intelligent human being. He knows what's up. We're going to work our way through each position room and just kind of talk through, hey, what are the big decisions that need to be made? Who are the players that maybe are free agents? Who are the players who maybe need an extension or even possibly are cut candidates? And then kind of go through and think about our answers in the free agency draft or re-signings and extensions to kind of give us some framework as we're moving forward through all these exciting things coming up. And kind of help frame our mind here. So I think we start off with the easy room. We start off with quarterback. The two kind of big questions here are Mitchell Trubisky and Mike White. Where do they lie? What's our kind of backup quarterback situation? Because clearly we have the MVP, and whatever he needs to be paid, he will be paid. There's a conversation, which I don't think is time for today. There's a conversation that Josh is ready for an extension. And to be kind of he's now like, I don't know, the 15th highest paid quarterback right now. So grossly underpaid. He's going to be paid an enormous amount of money and will reset records when it happens. And to be honest with you, I'll cut him a check too. He can have whatever he wants. The most important thing that we need right now, though, is the kind of figure out the backup quarterback situation. As we all know, it's kind of been a revolving door. This year is Mitchell Trubisky. I don't think anybody's too excited to have Mitchell Trubisky back there. I love him coming in and playing 10 minutes in the fourth quarter and just handing the ball off a couple times. But does he really kind of move the needle? I don't know. He has some opportunity. I personally think he could be a cut candidate, especially because Mike White was signed to an extension during the season. Mitchell Trubisky, if cut, could save us $2.5 million in cap space with $750,000 in dead cap. So I think it's definitely an opportunity. Nigel or Jake, what do you guys think? What's the move here? Do we have the guy, the backup quarterback on under contract right now, or do we need to go find something else?
It's tough to say, man, because with both of these guys, I guess I'm just at the point, and this thought process I have applies to the entire team, but I just need upside, right? And what kind of upside do you have with Trubisky and Mike White? Because here's the thing: at the end of the day, when Josh Allen is your quarterback, you're not talking about you're not the Steelers where okay, if Justin Fields goes down, let's have somebody comparable because the gap is only, this big. If Josh Allen is your starting quarterback, I don't care who your backup quarterback is. They're not Josh Allen. Your drop off from Josh Allen, no matter who your backup quarterback is going to be gargantuan. And the way this Bills team operates, no matter what, probably not enough to win you any games. That's just a fact. I am in the field of save all the money you can there, draft some dude in the 5th, 6th round with a shit ton of athletic upside, and ride with that as your backup. That's where I fall.
Yeah, I think that'd be sweet. I think that's a great move. I think it could actually be an option. So let's keep moving. I think quarterback's a really easy room. Let's keep moving. We got other more interesting things to kind of dig into. Running back's a fun one. Currently, we have James Cook and Ray Davis under contract. James Cook is going into the 4th year of his deal and has made it very publicly known that he's ready for extension. He wants a bag of money. A
big one.
However, he wants a big bag of money. So I think we table him for a second. I would be, and then we have two free agents pending. Well, currently free agents. Ty Johnson and Reggie Gilliam are both free agent signings. I'm ready to sign both of them. I think they're awesome members of this room. Reggie Gilliam is one of the best fullbacks in the league. He's really versatile. His usage went up at the end of the season. Has a pair of hands, so he can catch things, and is really awesome. And I don't think he'll be expensive. I also think Ty Johnson proved his worth. The fact that Josh Allen called him the best 3rd down back in the league should tell you that, hey, you keep him for at least time for another 1-year deal. He's a little older, but sign him, right? Josh Allen wants him around. He can block. He's clearly got hands and ability to do something with the ball after the catch. I think he's absolutely going to be. So those are two priorities for me for re-signing and free agency.
Yeah, Gilliam's farther down the list for me, but in terms of free agent re-signs, the order for me is probably it's some order of Matt Collins or Ty Johnson, and I'm not positive which one goes first. Honestly, I think they're both huge for me, but I'm not positive that Ty Johnson isn't more important to this offense than Matt Collins. They both do really gritty, behind the scenes roles that the team needs that are imperative to their success. But all that to say, Ty Johnson, way high on my list of guys that I really want back on the team this offseason.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And to be honest with you, I don't think either going to be expensive. So I think that's an easy signing. Yep, absolutely. They each get 1-year deals, and we'll tag them for 1-year deals for as long as they either keep playing at a high enough level, or they want to retire. Like I'm fine with that. The two of those guys. James Cook is the interesting one though. And I know that you have a very opinionated stance here on James Cook. He has a opportunity here to be extended, right? Or he could be, let's play out the end of his 4th-year deal, and then he becomes a free agency, or he enters free agency, and maybe he signs with somebody else, or he could possibly even be a trade candidate, right? Could we package him together and go get something of value now if he's at the point where, hey, he might even hold out through this season or through the off season and saying, hey, look, I want the extension. Let's get it figured out. And the Bills aren't on the same page. So, I know you have a really kind of strong opinion here. So, Nige, I'm going to give you the table here.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how strong it is here. I just I am in the camp of don't pay running backs a second contract. And I will be totally honest with you. My limit for James Cook is $8 million. And he's never going to sign for that in a million years. But I mean, his number that he keeps tossing out is 15. Okay. So Christian McCaffrey is at the very, very top. I believe his AP or his AAV is 19 million a year. He's injured every goddamn moment of the day. So that's a whole separate thing. But then you get more like closer into planet Earth there. And your guys are like Saquon Barkley, Alvin Kamara that are making like right around a little under 13 million. They're making a little over 12. And those are your guys that are, 75, 80% down backs, right? And that is not James Cook. Why isn't James Cook play as much as those guys? Because he can't pass block. He's
to save his life. He can't do it. He couldn't do it if he wanted to.
Yeah, like it's not like okay, we're not putting him in this position because we don't want to. We're not putting him in this position because he can't do it. Right? He took this entire season. He took 11 pass blocking snaps. So that's why he's not on. That's why he's not going to make $15 million a year. I wouldn't sign him for anywhere close to that. My number's about half of that. And I think perfect world for me with James Cook, you're trading him for a top 100 pick, or you're sending him to Vegas for Max Crosby somehow, because I know they're desperate for a decent running back. But here's the thing: somebody will pay him at least 10. Somebody out there will do it. So, but I don't want it to be the Bills. I would much rather see that money go towards the defensive line. I think you've got Ray Davis and Ty Johnson. Well, technically you've only got Ray Davis right now, but go trade James Cook for a top 100 pick and draft his replacement right there. I just think there's way too many other important areas where you need to spend your financial resources.
It's also a position where like that often gets injured, right? Running backs are often injured, and have a season where a running back plays 16, 17 games in a season is rare. And so I think to kind of put all that money into one position and then have it not work out, especially when we have kind of a whole stable of backs that really works out really well. I think, So I think ideally it's either, for me, it's, hey, let's let him play out his rookie contract. He's phenomenal and could absolutely be a really important piece to us having a deep playoff run next season. That's option number one for me. Option two is he's a trade candidate, and we packed him up and send him on his way. That's kind of my two thoughts there. I think extending him would not. Yeah, I agree. As much as it would hurt to go see him wear another jersey, I think extending him would be not the best idea.
The extension is not going to happen. I'm telling you, it's not going to happen. There's no way Bean is going to give this guy what he wants, because somebody will. I guarantee it.
Yeah. Cool.
It's a bummer, but
all right. Should we keep moving?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Wide receiver, where everybody eats. So, We have Khalil Shakir, who just got extended. Congratulations, buddy. We love having you. Please keep doing your Khalil Shakir things. Keon Coleman and Curtis Samuel are all under contract. We have a whole slew of practice squad members. Don't necessarily have to get into them. Two pending free agents, Cooper and Mac Hollins. We've already kind of talked about Mac. I'm on the same page as you. Let's pay him what he wants, right? Pay him. Let's keep him here. He's phenomenal for the locker room. He's got, he's a great weapon for Josh. He was one of the better, red zone targets for Josh Allen this year, and also a phenomenal blocker. Like, blocks his butt off. So whatever he needs, stop. Just figure it out, Bean. Mark Cooper, I could kind of take it or leave it. If he comes back a reasonable number, which is probably less than he wants to be able to come back for, okay. But I'm not like dying of this guy back.
Yeah, I am. When it comes to Amari Cooper, dude, I think I'm probably set. And that's not to say that Amari Cooper is like a bad player or anything like that. I think he was a net positive to the team this year, but he's a guy that's on the wrong side of 30. I think we saw, he doesn't really have a step anymore, at least not the way he used to. Like, at least I felt like I saw that. And again, like, I would just rather see the resources go towards somebody with more upside, a younger free agent acquisition, a fourth round draft pick. I would just rather see the resources go someplace with more upside. I think you've got enough veteran presence on the offensive side of the ball. Maybe not so much in the wide receiver room, because at this point, Khalil Shakir is probably your top leader, especially if Cooper goes. But you've still got, that offensive room it's got Josh. It's got an offensive line with a lot of experience in it. Like, it's not like the offensive side of the ball is lacking for leadership. I just would rather see those snaps go towards somebody younger with more athletic upside, personally.
Yeah, no, I agree, and especially seeing that this team can work with all these players that have come in and kind of piecemeal it. So I agree. I'd love to see him make a substantial draft pick here, top 4 picks. Like round 1, 2, 3, or 4, I think would be really well used here. I think continuing to stock those cupboards of wide receivers and answers for Josh Allen is important. I think we need some speed. We have some size in Keon Coleman and hopefully Mac Hollins. I think we need somebody who can be a field stretcher and really, challenge and really threaten down the field to make the defense have to play this. I don't think that defenses were forced to this year. I think they absolutely knew that, we could probably play it back there and probably not be burned that often, at least by speed. So I'm interested in them going to get somebody with some zip.
Yeah, zip would be good. Go ahead, Jake.
I was just going to ask, so if we're making a draft pick like that, do you see room for any free agent targets, or do you think the draft can kind of shore up our needs? I suppose that depends if you re-sign Cooper and Mac, but you get what I'm getting at.
Yeah, totally, dude. And I think for me, it totally depends on, because there's not nobody out there on the offensive side of the ball in terms of free agents, but the list isn't like, there's nobody that you look at and you're like drooling. I think ideally you're probably dipping into each pool a little bit. You're probably investing a top, a top 5 round pick in a wide receiver somewhere. I think you're also signing 1 or 2 guys, probably from that B-C+ pool of wide receiver free agents. So, and I think that's typically what Bean does when he is looking to address a position. I think he's looking to probably infuse a little of both ends, right? Some free agents, some rookie draft picks. So that would be my thought there. That's probably what I think will happen, because he'll have a ton of wide receivers for camp.
Especially seeing that Khalil Shakir been extended. Curtis Samuel is a relatively healthy contract, right? So we have some money in his wide receiver room. I see Bean really dropping a bunch of money here. I'm hoping it's 1 or 2 free agents and some draft picks as well. I
yeah. Tight ends?
I think so. Yeah, talk to me about him. So, is this another easy room like QB, or is this a little more wrinkled? What do you think?
I think this one's pretty easy. Dalton Kincaid's not going anywhere. He's still on his early contract. or his rookie contract. Nothing early about it. Still on his rookie contract. He's only 2 years in. He's got a couple more years at least. Dawson Knox, there is at least a bit of a conversation to be had here, but none of the pros are even remotely enough to really pull the trigger on it. I think it's a lot more dead cap than it is for cap savings. And this is a guy that is a pretty established core member of the team at this point. I don't think anybody, he's beloved in the locker room, really tight with Josh. He's one of the guys that will host hangs at his place. And he's very good at what he does. Is he overpaid for what he does? Which at this point, with the acquisition of Dalton Kincaid, has he become more of an inline blocker primarily? Yes, he has. Does he still get you a catch or two a game for a first down? He also does that. And, at this point, I know Dalton Kincaid hasn't really panned out the way that we're necessarily hoping he will. Are we 100% positive that Dawson Knox isn't the best tight end of the team? Yeah. I don't think we can define it in terms of an all-around NFL tight end. Like he's way closer to a Kittle than a Dalton Kincaid is, because Kincaid can't really block. So there's a conversation to be had there, I think, at this point in terms of an all-around player, because I don't think Dalton Kincaid really had more of an offensive upside last year than Dawson Knox did. I think offensively they were pretty similar. Knox just offered a lot more in the blocking game. So, Tom, do you have anything you want to add on to that conversation there?
I completely agree. I think you're absolutely right. And I think if you go find somebody to replace Dawson Knox, who plays a very important role in this defense or this offense, I think you'd go pay somebody else about the amount as much as you're paying him. Like, I really don't think he's that overpaid. I think if you were to try and replace him, I think you'd find yourself spending just about the same amount of money. So, especially because he has all this experience with the offense. Like, I think absolutely keep him. He's such a big he plays such a big role in this run offense too, which I think is we can't discount.
Yeah. Make no mistake too, if you were to cut Dawson Knox, he would have a new job 48 hours later at the most. I mean, would be immediately signed by
20 minutes later. Yeah, he'd be sucked up. Yeah, absolutely.
So
moving on to the offensive line. Now, as I was kind of preparing for this, is the offensive line the strongest room on the team outside of quarterback?
I think so.
I think they are.
Yeah. Everybody's back. Everybody's under contract. This is a room where if you wanted to, you could literally do nothing and run it back and just do the exact same thing. Even your depth guys are under contract again.
Yeah.
So there's a couple levers to pull here to free up a little bit of cap space in terms of extensions. I know David Edwards is one of those guys, but there's nothing there's no free agents here. Really, truly, you could do absolutely nothing to this room, and it could potentially be the right move to do nothing.
Yeah. I think the only one that's interesting to me is possibly moving on from David Edwards and either as releasing him or trading him, only because you do have this stable of Alec Anderson and Tylen Grable and Cedric Van Pangrager, who are all excellent players and building up through the system. And at some points, you need to want to try and continue to find ways to get younger and cheaper. I think that could be an opportunity, right? I think David Edwards is awesome. I think he's phenomenal. He's absolutely a starting guard in this league. So I'm not saying anything bad against David Edwards. It's just at some points, do you need to kind of roll over, or do you play it through one season and do the rollover next year? I think that's probably the smarter move, right? Just keep this core together and let these other guys continue to develop underneath them. But that's just the only one that I could see being an option.
Yeah, and it is a significant financial change there, because Cunningham gets you $4 million and only gets you $875,000 in dead cap, which with this salary cap is absolutely nothing. But I think the biggest thing here for me is Deion Dawkinson said himself how nice it was to have stability at the left guard position. Yep. And that right there in and of itself is enough reason for me to pay that $4 million and ignore that savings, because that's an area where like that's a more worthwhile investment to me than paying James Cook anything close to $10 million personally. Right? Like keep Deion Dawkins happy, who is a top 5 left, not happy in like his ego, but just comfortable, like knowing what he has next to him, which then puts him in a position where he knows what he can do in order to keep putting the guy next to him in a position to be successful. Like that to me is way more valuable than paying a guy like James Cook, who you could probably draft in the 3rd round if you wanted to. Right?
Not wrong.
Yeah, makes sense.
The rest of my case.
There, Mr.
Well, Tom, I'm very smart.
Wow. Let's flip it over to the defense here. This is for some spots where we can really kind of get some things going on here. I think we can all agree that the defensive line was not satisfactory this past season. And I'm hoping that we've already kind of talked about some coaching changes, right? Those could absolutely, hopefully, kind of bring some life into this room and help these guys develop. So there's lots of different opportunities here. I'm going to start with an exciting one before we start about the, some maybe ones that are less exciting. Do we re-sign Greg Rousseau? Extend Gregory Rousseau?
I think re-signing Greg Rousseau is an absolutely slam dunk, yes, no-brainer situation. He's your best defensive lineman. It's not particularly close. His run defense is it's A+. His pass rush leaves a little bit to be desired, but I'd say it's still probably a B. Do you wish he was maybe could get you like a sack in a really close? Sorry, I got air bubbles from my seltzer. A pass or a sack in like a really, really, really clutch moment. Yeah, you leave a little bit to be desired there, but overall, I mean, it's probably a number that's going to come around 20 million. I think is the number I'm seeing most consistently. Have you seen that, Tom?
I haven't seen really many numbers yet, but I believe in being and getting a deal, right? He's gotten deals on Ed Oliver. He's gotten deals on Khalil Shakir. He's gotten deals on Josh Allen, right? Like I think he could work something out. And especially seeing this salary crap just explode into just big money. Like, I think we should be okay with this. Now, what if I paint a picture and all of a sudden Gregory Rousseau is defensive end number 2, and we have him behind a Myles Garrett or a Max Crosby or a Trey Hendrickson?
Well, see, and that's
you whatsoever.
Yeah, of course it does. I think that's where you get the most out of Greg Rousseau, right? Because I don't think, and I guess I still could be proven wrong, but I don't think that Greg Rousseau on his own is a Batman. But I think he could be a hell of a sidekick, a hell of a, if Myles Garrett can be Mermaid Man, he could be a hell of a Barnacle Boy. I think that's where like he would be at his best, is like that just real like high level sidekick to an absolute ace in the hole, whether that ace in the hole was like a Myles Garrett on the opposite end or like this defensive tackle out of Michigan that could be our 1st round pick, like somebody like that who's a real game wrecker on the inside. I think somewhere there you've got to get somebody real legit to unlock the real potential of a Greg Rousseau.
Yeah. I imagine being an offense and having to look at that line. The defensive line is, has their fists in the ground, and you got Myles Garrett over here, and you got Greg Rousseau over here, and then like, what do you do? I don't know. Like, I don't know who you block. I don't know what you do. You just get the ball out as quickly as possible and say, "No, don't hurt me, please."
I guess, yeah. I mean, ask the Bengals who defended the Browns when they had Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney on each side. I mean, they've done it.
Yep.
But they were still dog shit. It's not necessarily a recipe for success. So you just got to, the other parts have to be there too. But that's the thing with the Bills. The other parts are already there, right? Like these are the last pieces that we need, is that ace in the hole, go get that fucking sack to send you to the Super Bowl, defensive end.
Be fucking cool. We'll keep kind of tabs on that progression as we get into free agency here. I think the other important one here is Von Miller. I know he's the kind of big kind of hot topic button topic here for the last couple of weeks in Bills Mafia. Is he worth a cut? Right, pre June 1st. So there's a June 1st kind of designation of, and that kind of changes how much money is saved and how much money goes against the cap. Before June 1st, it's not all that good. It's $8.3 million in cap savings, but $15 million in dead cap. Post June 1st, it's $17 million in cap savings and only $6.3 something million of dead cap. So I think there's absolutely a world where he could kind of do a little renegotiation with the Bills and maybe come back in. Again, if all of a sudden it's Greg Rousseau is your number 2, and then Von Miller and AJ Epinesa are your 3 and 4, I think this edge room all of a sudden becomes a strength on this team. So I'd be interested in having him back at kind of a discounted price again, but who knows if that's even possible, right?
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, so with that pre June 1st number, that 8.39, if you're gonna, like, I don't remember the exact details, but like if you're going to whatever you're gonna do with him, like that's the window to renegotiate with him. That's what it is. If you're gonna renegotiate, right, that renegotiation has to net you at the very least that 8 and some odd change in millions of dollars in cap space, right? If he's not going to do that, then I think this is a slam dunk easy answer that you cut him post June 1st, right? Because he's shown you that.
Dude, what a gut punch!
I know it stinks, man, but I mean, like, this is like, I'm leaning. I want to go towards the youth and upside. I'm sorry, dude. Like, I would rather see, who's the young defensive end we have as a rookie this year that is a pass rush specialist. I'm blanking on his name. I'd rather see those snaps go to Javon Solomon. I liked his tape a lot this year. You know, so yeah, Von Miller had a decent start to the year, was hot for the first half, but I mean, I felt like the second half of the season really kind of disappeared. He wasn't getting the sacks, so, and that's a significant cap savings for a guy that I don't feel like has it now. Like you said, Tom, if the plan is, you know, if in that room they're saying, boys, we're going to go get Trey Hendrickson, then all of a sudden, because right now everybody's one level higher than they need to be, right? Greg Rousseau is your best, and then it's probably Von Miller, and then it's AJ. But if you take, like you just said, if you take each of those guys and you slot them down a peg, then everyone's in a very appropriate spot. And then Von Miller as your number 3 looks awesome. But Von Miller as your number 2 looks terrible. You know, it's crazy how that it's only one spot, but it makes a big difference because those first 2 can play 60 to 70% of your snaps if you want them to. So that's where I land on it. I'm firmly in the let's move on from Von Miller bucket, personally.
Cool.
I would rather save the 17 million or whatever it is.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an option. Just to kind of keep things moving, let's touch on linebacker real quick. I think the big question there is Terrell Bernard an extension candidate? For me, I want to play out this fourth year. I would not kind of jump on the opportunity to extend him yet. I'd love to see more, but I'd love to. I mean, he's doing great, right? He's a great player. He's really strong, and he did not always kind of live up to what we needed him to be this year. But I think because he kind of stepped into a captain role in his year 3 season, and that's a lot. That's a big seat to fill. So I don't know. Is Terrell Bernard an extension candidate for you, Nigel?
I think he could be. I mean, if he was extended, I wouldn't be upset about it because here's the thing. Right now, he took a bit of a step back from last season in terms of the splash plays and stuff like that, the number of sacks, you know, stuff like that. So if you sign him right now, you probably get him at a lower number than if he plays on the second or the next year and, you know, has a crazy season. You know, so I think your floor is pretty high with Terrell Bernard. And for me, like that reason in and of itself for me is enough. Like I'd be fine with extension, especially because right now, probably lower than what it could be with one more season. So, but I think he's a guy you can invest in your future. It's not a guy I'm anxious or looking to move on from anytime soon. I think he is, you know, offers you a lot in pass protection. I think he's good enough in run defense. He leaves some to be desired there. But then gives you a splash play pretty regularly, and then really good blitzing player too. So yeah, I'm a big fan. Yeah.
All right. moving forward, cornerback. For kind of pending free agent for Rasul Douglas, I'm perfectly fine moving on from him. I think it does leave a hole where, like, hey, we got to figure out what, cornerback 2 next to Christian Benford. I think that's absolutely a priority for this offseason because I don't think Kyler Elam is it. And then having, a combination of Cam Lewis and Jamarcus Ingram ready to I don't think that's the solution either. I think it's got to be a free agent signing and a rookie draft pick, in my opinion.
Yep, I think you're correct, Tom. And there's a decent amount of free agents out there. There's also some trade candidates. Like we've seen guys like Jair Alexander be available on the trade block from the Packers. He's a dickhead, but he's an outstanding player. So, if that's a culture fit in some capacity, all that to say, there's a lot of guys out there. But yes, I think similar to the wide receiver position, both ends of the spectrum. Get a guy from the draft, get a guy or two from free agency.
Yep. Imagine we got Jair Alexander be just like a Green Bay Packer cornerback, like, streamline.
Yeah.
We're still game. And then we get Jair. Like, who's next? Who's the third one, right?
Jair Alexander is unbelievable, dude. He's a top 10
legit.
corner in the league for sure.
Yeah, he's legit. Him and Christian would be a fucking problem. That would
they
shore
would.
up.
It's a nasty
and
duo.
Then Aaron Johnson in the slot, like, hello.
Forget
good
it.
luck.
Yeah.
Christian Benford is definitely an extension candidate, and I think he just pay him what he needs, right? I think he's a stud. I think he's done everything we need him to and have ever asked him to, and I think he's going to continue to do that. So I think he's absolutely an extension candidate. He might want to hold out and have another awesome year and then go get even more money the next year, but I think we got to figure that one out.
Yeah. Christian Benford is a top 5 cornerback in the NFL, and you keep him around as long as you absolutely can, and you pay him whatever he wants next.
Yep. The safety cupboards are a little bare, boys. We got Taylor Rapp and Cole Bishop. Taylor Rapp, I think, is great, right? He played a really strong year. His first season was not as strong, but year 2, he played awesome. He's definitely a starting safety in this defense. Cole Bishop, we got to hope, right? We pray that he steps up, but we don't know that, so they can't bank on that. Currently, the pending free agents. I think if we can sign him for a couple million, keep him in the room, but don't have him start. I'm ready to move on from him as a starting option. Depth, awesome. Let's do it. But as a starting option, I don't think he's it. So I think that's got a couple moves in free agency, and again, a couple moves in the draft. I think safety, defensive line, cornerback, wide receiver are all some spots that we can make some moves in the draft here.
Yeah, I think overall the resources this offseason very much need to favor the defensive side of the ball. Because I think you have holes everywhere. You have holes on the defensive line. I guess linebacker is probably the only position where you're probably okay. But you've got holes on the defensive line. You've got holes in the cornerback room, and you've got holes at safety. I don't want Damar Hamlin starting again. You've got to find another answer there. I have to hope that Cole Bishop will be ready to slide in there. But if he's not, like you have to remember, be ready to make a move there. Right, because I don't think Damar Hamlin can be your starting safety again. And then, we just talked about this team is going to have an opening at cornerback too, because Kyer Elam is not the answer. I think that's abundantly clear. So, there's definitely some things to be done, and this team is going to look a little bit different, but it's not certainly not going into a rebuild year, are we, fellas?
No, sir.
No, sir.
I think that's all I got.
Right? This is it. This is the blueprint. These are the spots we have to start filling, and this is the fun part, right? We get to kind of see what the move's going to happen. How's it going to be all put together?
You got it, brother.
All right, boys. Well, hey, let's get out of here. This is fun. We'll be back next week. Don't worry, folks. We're back here.
Thank you all from the bottom of our hearts for spending some time with us. Please give us a like and a follow on Instagram, X, TikTok, and our YouTube channel at Let's Go Buff Pod. These are my pals, Jake and Nigel. My name is Tom, and you're listening to the Let's Go Buffalo podcast. We're sending you love wherever you are. Go Bills, go Sabres, let's go Buffalo.